Steeler Nation Midwest, it's Big J coming at you. I'm gonna get this Cincinnati post up finally. Uh, had some technical difficulties, but as you know, it's been a couple days now. Pittsburgh took care of Cincinnati, and I'm gonna keep it brief because I want to move on to Cleveland for this pregame for Cleveland. But basically, uh, Pittsburgh went into Cincinnati with a chance to go up two games on Baltimore, and they knew they were dealing with a potent offense. Like I said in my pregame, the Bengals are potent when it comes to offensive football. Burrows makes them a lot better, and he's very dangerous. He has pocket presence. He's tall, around 6'4" in the pocket. Uh, his IQ is very high. He throws guys open. He's hitting guys before they're even open. He sees it. He goes to his read so quick. It's hard to blitz him because he gets rid of the ball so fast. But you got to have that pressure because he can run. If you remember, if you got a chance to see the Giants game, he busted one for like maybe 40 or 50 yards down the sidelines. He can move. So not only you got to worry about his arm, his IQ, which is very dangerous because there's quarterbacks out there that they're nowhere near as talented as Burrows, but their IQ is high, so they can play well. But his IQ is very high. And then he has dynamic receivers. Jamar Chase had a solid game for them, but not like he's normally has. He had like six catches for 80-something yards. T. Higgins, I think, played better. I think he played better than Jamar Chase, but I think it was just scheme because they were paying a lot more attention to Jamar Chase. But Higgins is dangerous too. So their combination in wide receivers are great, and they have a rookie that comes off the bench. I can't think of his name at this time, but basically he he's pretty good. He is pretty good. Um, Garsecki, the tight end, also is pretty good. Uh, I can't pronounce this guy's name. It's hard, but he plays for the Bengals, number 80, rookie. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good receiver, and he's a big 6'3", 210. You know, he didn't play bad, but he didn't have that many catches. Um, Basically, he had three receptions. Well, he had three receptions for 35 yards, 11.7, and he had one touchdown. So and his longest was 17. And then their running back Chase Brown, he took over for Mixon. Mixon left in free agency. Um, and then they brung Zach Moss in, but he got hurt, I think, in camp. And then they had this younger running back Chase Brown, who's basically taking over those duties, and he's pretty good. And he toted the ball on Sunday, uh, 70 yards, 12 attempts for 70 yards, 5.8 average, one touchdown. He had a longest run of 40. He gashed us on that. He had a couple runs like that. So he's pretty dangerous. Um, he's pretty dangerous. Their offense is not that's not the problem. Their offense is not the problem. They can score points. They average 27 points a game, and I told y'all that in the pregame. So I knew it was going to be difficult for Pittsburgh to hold them under their 17 points, but Pittsburgh was going to have to, snap out offensively themselves, and they did. Um, Russell had a big time game offensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He threw for 414 yards. Uh, Pickens had a really good game as far as him and Russell hooking up. Uh, Basically, Pickens had six targets, three receptions for 74 yards, 24.7, and that's because he's being bracketed and doubled. And they're really playing physical with him, and the refs are letting him get beat up. And I know he still has to mature though, but he can't let that stuff get to him. But I can see why he gets frustrated. But he had a 36 deep pass to him, 36 yards. Frymouth, seven targets for six receptions, 68 yards, average 11.3, one touchdown, longest was 25. Jalen Warren, four targets, four receptions for 55. Najee, six receptions for six targets for 6 receptions, 55 yards, 9-point average, 25-yard pass completion. He had a big 25-yard pass completion. Van Jefferson got one late for 43 yards that helped us seal the game, get the ball where we needed to get it. And Cordell Patterson had 3 targets, 3 catches, 37 yards, 12.3. And then Calvin Austin, of course, had the touchdown, 2 big time catches. He got hurt during the game, though. But he was practicing yesterday, so that's a good sign for Cleveland, for us against Cleveland. Skoranek. I love Skoranek, man. The guy's special. On special teams, he got hurt earlier in the year, but he came back, 2 weeks ago? And he's a great gunner, and then he's a great possession receiver. He came up to, I think he played in the Rams system also. He played in the Rams system. For whatever reason, they didn't re-sign him, but we have him now, and he's pretty decent. He had 1 catch, 1 reception for 23 yards possession, and he scored a touchdown. No, he did not score a touchdown. I'm sorry. He didn't score a touchdown, but he made a big-time catch. That was a big-time catch. Pruitt, the tight end, one of our backup tight ends, had 2 receptions, 3 targets, 21 yards, 10.5 average, a long catch of 18. And Big Darnell, Mount Washington, had 1 catch for 1 yard, 10 for 10 yards. That was his only catch, and it was for 10 yards, obviously. Boswell had a good day. He did miss one. It wasn't his fault. But they blocked it. Somebody on the right side, it was either Loudermilk or Jones, missed their assignment. I gave it and blocked it, or he would have been 100% again. That guy's just spot on. Boswell's he's just a tremendous kicker, and he's been doing it for a long time. It's not fluke. It's not a fluke year. He's been doing this for a minute. Just that he had Justin Tucker and the kid out here in Kansas City. Those 3 are like the 3 main kickers in the league. 3 of them. There's like at least 5 or 6 that are automatic guys, and Boswell's at the top of that list. So we're glad to have him. And then he had 3 or 4 field goals, and he had all his extra points. Defensively, for the Bengals, man, they got to fix that. They really do. They need to fix that. They're wasting away Burrow's talent. I'm not a Bengals fan, so I can care less. But I'm just as a football fan, that's bad. They're not spending any money. And I used to think Pittsburgh was cheap, but they say Cincinnati's worse, and it has always been worse. They said that the Brown family does not like spending money, and they'll do whatever they can not to do it. And that's why they're always in a predicament. They'll have one year where they're really, really good, and then they fall back off. So there's some guys I think they should have paid that they didn't. It is what it is, but they need to do something on defense. Mike Hinton used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is getting old. He had a hard day on Monday. He's still an NFL player. He still can but he's not what he was when he was with us. And he's not what he was when he first signed with Cincinnati, leaving Pittsburgh. You can tell Calvin Austin was running. I don't know what they were thinking. Calvin Austin was just running past him, did what he wanted to, So they had to put him in zone. He couldn't man the slot up because he can't cover him, So they got to look at that. Their safety, the one kid they have is a pretty good safety, but the corner, Taylor Britt, he's the one who had the penalty at the first beginning of the game, and I still say it's a penalty. I don't care what anyone says. First or second play of the game, Russell drops back, Pickens goes out on the right side, by the numbers, makes his break, starts to slip, but you can tell he's going to catch his balance. And Britt actually grabs him by the helmet and pulls him down. That's a penalty. That's a flag. If it's not PI, got to be hands to the head. Got to be something. I don't know. I'm not an official, but I know some of the rules, and that's a PI. All right? Anyway you go, that's a PI. He picks it and takes it back for his touchdown. No flag. Everybody who's a Steeler fan, and even national people, I don't expect the Bengal fans to complain. I wouldn't either. But, everybody was like, wow, they're not going to call that, huh? So they didn't call it. But luckily, we came right back down, and the next possession, when they kicked back off to us, went right back down and hit on a wide receiver screen to Pickens, and he basically walked it into the end zone to tie it up. So the game went back and forth for a minute. Cincinnati did take the lead at one point in time, um, but then Pittsburgh turned it up on them. We got the lead, got some turnovers. Um, our defense played really well compared to their defense, and we just got it done. I mean, as far as Watt, they moved him around. We put him in different places to get him, keep people from trying to chip him and double him because you don't know where he's at now. So it's going to be hard because you're expecting him to be here and he's here, and so it makes it difficult. And now they can put three outside linebackers on the field. You can go with Highsmith because he's back. He's slated to play on. He was supposed to play last week, but they said he wasn't ready. They felt they can get away without him playing, but he's back. He's back. He's a full go. So you have him on the one outside linebacker spot. You have Nick Herbig, the young kid. There's the second year guy. He's playing really well. And then you have the trade that we got from Green Bay, Preston Smith. So and then we got just T.J. Watt. So we're fine. And then our front played really well. Our front played really well. Cam Haywood, as usual, was an All-Pro player, Hall of Fame type play is what he had on Sunday again. The old man can still do it. And at 36 years old, at the defensive line spot, I can see another 2 or 3 years with him. Um, but he was getting a breather, and that's when they gashed us for the 40-yard run, Chase Brown, and then another big run he had. Both times that happened on our run, and not saying it shouldn't happen anyway, but Cam wasn't on the field either time. He was getting a break. And, so it's like the Bengals knew, and they ran a running play. So basically, once we finally got the lead, we went up by 17. Now, like I stated, with Cincinnati, they're never out of it. Cincinnati's never out of it. So you have to understand their passing game is potent. So they fought back, but we end up getting out of there with the win, 44-38. And it's not, people that don't really watch TV, watch football, period, not just the Steelers or the Bengals. But if you watch football, you understand what's going on, and you're paying attention to just the league and who's doing well. The Bengals offense is top notch. I mean, up until that game, and he threw for over 300 yards again. Burrows had already thrown for 3,200 yards. He's already thrown for 3,200 yards. He's already thrown for some crazy amount of touchdowns already in the season. This season is nowhere near over. We're like in a quarter of the season, 3/4 of the season. So, and he's already had a season worth of stats, Pro Bowl stats. If he had a defense, they'd be going to the Super Bowl. Believe that. So it's hard. It's going to be hard to beat them once they get a defense, and hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully they keep being cheap and doing the things they do. But basically, that puts Pittsburgh at 9-3. Cincinnati drops to 4-9. They're basically sealing their own fate, their own tune. Tiebreakers. I think they've lost all tiebreakers. Even in the games that they've lost, they scored a lot of points. First team in NFL history to score 33 plus points or more and still lose 6 games in a season. That's crazy. So that just tells you a lot about their defense. Because they don't cover much. Najee was able to leak out the backfield like 5 or 6 times over the middle, and Russ did was dump it down to him and get the first down. And it's like Cincinnati was just like willing just to give that up. They were willing to give that up, and Russell was fine with taking it. And at the press conference after the game, they basically said that we looked at that, we knew that they would give that up, and we just took it. We automatically just took it. So why not? We'll just walk it down the field. We'll just walk you down the field and score. And that's what happened, basically. We did not punt at all this past Sunday. Didn't punt at all. So that tells you something. We did have the turnover, but we didn't punt at all. So I'll let you know. As far as Cleveland goes, so this is a revenge game for us. We went up there a couple weeks ago on a Thursday night football, and we laid an egg. And I was worried about that game anyway because Cleveland plays us tough all the time, especially up there. It doesn't matter about records. It doesn't matter how bad Cleveland is or how bad Pittsburgh is or how vice versa, how good either team is. The records mean nothing. Stats mean nothing. They always seem to play a hard contested game. There's been a few games where, you know, Pittsburgh lit them up and it wasn't even a game. And there was one I remember when I was younger, in my 20s, early 20s. Chuck Noll was still coach, and they beat us 51 nothing in Three River Stadium. I'll never forget that. Opening day. Could you imagine seeing that and wondering how your season's going to be in its opening day? And you're losing 51 nothing to your heated rival, the Browns. The Ravens didn't even exist then. The Jaguars were in our division at the time. In Houston, the Oilers. So that's how long ago that was, but that's still a loss. And they kicked our butt. I mean, I'll never forget that, man. But we ended up making the playoffs that year. Turned back around, beat Cleveland the second time around, and in Pittsburgh fashion, made the playoffs. Crazy. But that worries me because Cleveland always plays us tough, even though they're coming here. Now, normally we haven't lost to them in Pittsburgh a regular season game because we did lose a couple years ago the night that Marquise Pouncey retired and he snapped the ball over Ben's head in that playoff game, first round of that playoff game. We lost to him here. I mean, not here. I'm in Kansas City. We lost to him in Pittsburgh. Um, Lost to him in Pittsburgh in that playoff game. Bad game for Pittsburgh, and it was just bad. It started out bad. Like I said, Marquise first snapped it over Ben's head, and it was bad for the rest of the night. That's the only time they've beaten us at home in 30-something years, and that was the playoff game. Regular season, we're 33-0 against them during the regular season in Pittsburgh. So stats can mean nothing. You know, it's all about how you're playing, but this game is weird. When these two play each other, it's just weird. So Pittsburgh is favored. Injury-wise, we know Deshaun Watson's not playing. He's off for the season. I've been watching them play. They played us, and Chubb is back. He's been back for a few games now. And Ford's still getting the bulk of the carries. And then they played Denver, and he didn't play much either. Ford got more of the carries. So I don't know if he's still hurt. He's just knocking off rust, or I'm not sure. But if he gets going, that's a problem with Chubb. Nick Chubb is a dangerous running back if he's healthy. And James Ford seems to be doing pretty well for them too. You know, they don't have enough. You know, they already got rid of Amari Coop, the wide receiver, to Buffalo. Their tight end is pretty good. He's really good. He's not doing what he normally has done in the past, but he's still good. He's still really good. He's definitely a big time threat. And to be honest with you, he is basically with Jameis Winston at the helm at the quarterback spot. They look better and more dangerous, and the wide receivers seem to be more happy with him as quarterback than they did with Deshaun Watson. So if anybody could ever thought they would say that about Jameis Winston and Deshaun Watson. But Jameis is a gunslinger. It's like he'll just throw that rock anywhere on the field. He'll give it up too, though. We couldn't get him to give it up that last Thursday night a couple weeks ago, but he'll give it up. This wasn't our night. He throws the ball out. He throws a lot of picks, but he's thrown for a lot of yards. He lit us up. He had a good game against us, and then he went up to Denver. They lost, but that was a good game. And I was watching. Denver's totally a different team defensively. They dealt with Cleveland, but Cleveland, it was back and forth. It was not a bad game. So they seem to have found a little something with Jameis Winston. But it's not enough for them to make the playoffs. They only got 3 wins. But still, and it's late in the year, they'd have to run off unbelievable amount of games that they'd have to win everything for the rest of their games for the rest of the season to even sniff, maybe even be in the picture of a wild card. So, but we don't need them in our way. We need to get ready because we want to go 2 games. We want to, if we win this, Baltimore's on a bye. Baltimore's on a bye. Um, we play Cleveland. We go up another game. Okay, that puts us at 10-3. Okay, Baltimore, we beat Baltimore, so we own that tiebreaker at this point in time. Baltimore lost to Philadelphia the other day, and we play Philly coming up uh, after Cleveland. So in Philly, we got to go to Philadelphia. So we got a chance to like kind of put the division out of reach if we can get those 2 wins, take care of Cleveland, and then let everything else take care of itself with Philadelphia and the rest of the schedule. Uh, After that, it'll be what Cleveland, Philly, Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, Cincinnati again at home. So if we can handle that, if we can even go 2-2 over the next 5 weeks, we'll be fine as far as winning that division. We just got to beat Baltimore. Once we beat Baltimore again, the division's ours because there's nobody else that can beat us for tiebreakers in the division. And that means we get at least 1 home game. But we want to buy. Not right now. We're third in the AFC. Um, we want that 2 spot. So we got 1 loss. We have 3 losses. Kansas City has 1 loss. Baltimore has 2. Um, so not Baltimore, but Buffalo. So Buffalo looks hot right now. So we got to take care of our business against Cleveland. We can't have no letdowns. We can't lay no eggs this weekend, man. You know, injury-wise, Martavius Adams should be back. Highsmith is back. Trice is now on the roster. Uh, they cleared him. They didn't put him out for the rest of the season with that new IR rule, 21 days and all that crap they give you to get him ready. And yesterday they announced that he's getting a helmet. Now how much he'll play, I'm not sure. This is his first game, and we're in the middle. He did play the first game of the year against Denver, had a pick. So it was either against Denver, it was against Denver or Atlanta, but he got a pick, and then he got hurt. And then he was hurt all last season. He got drafted by Pittsburgh in the 7th round because of injuries, but Pittsburgh took a chance on him, and he got hurt in camp and tore his ACL, and he was out for the whole year last year, like a red shirt. But he's back, and he's a really tremendous avatar type corner. When I say that, he's long, he's athletic, he's physical, built kind of like Joey Porter. Him and Joey Porter Jr. are built kind of the same. Long arms, strong, um, you know, enough speed to cover, and they get their hips. They're good corners, and they say the only reason Trice went like he did is because people were afraid of people backed off of him because of injuries, and so far it has proven. But we've been able to maneuver around that. We got Dante Jackson in from Carolina, so he's a starter right now. But um, if Trice can go, that's going to be some added depth if he can get on the field now and stay healthy for the rest of the season. That'll really help. Um, like I said, Highsmith is back. Other than that, injury wise, we're not doing bad. Calvin Austin, like I said, did practice. He did practice yesterday. They said he was somewhat limited. I mean, but for somebody this quick to play on Sunday, get a concussion, and it's now Friday, and he's already been practicing the last 2 days. He may get a helmet. I'm thinking he'll be out there. But Mike Williams, let's talk about him. So Calvin Austin has been playing well, and him and Russell have gained a lot of chemistry, and so basically, Mike Williams is coming onto a moving train. Uh, he got traded to us from the Jets. We got him in a trade, the same trade as same day as we got Preston Smith from Green Bay, the outside linebacker. So basically, I mean, we want him to be able to do more than just deep balls, because we got Pickens. We want him on the field. He started last week, and he had 18 snaps, and I think it's going to raise. I think they're just getting him up to speed. And once he gets up to speed, it's going to be an issue. it's going to be an issue. And you got to be running the block too, because Arthur Smith likes his receivers to block. Skoranek, Van Jefferson, even Pickens and them, they block. You know, it's Frymouth, he's suspect blocker, but he does block, but he's suspect. You know, so offensively, we get him on the field, I think we'll be good, and we should be able to take care of business. You know, offensive line played better against Cincinnati. No injuries to talk about as far as them coming out of the Cincinnati game. So that group of guys, those 5 guys that have been playing, sometimes 6 with Darnell Washington, depending on what they're in. And then you have Cam Haywood's younger brother, Connor Haywood, who's an H-back tight end. And then you have Michael Pruitt, big guy, came up from Atlanta with Arthur Smith, good hands, good route runner. You got Friday, so we got good tight ends, so we should be able to attack that way. Najee's being Najee. They should have signed him, man. I was in agreement with Pittsburgh when they did that, didn't option the 5th yard because the way he's played, didn't give him his 5th year option. Because I was like, man, he's, you know, but I knew it was the offensive line and the OC, but still, it was just like, is he ever going to get going, you know? So they didn't offer him a 5th year option. And now he's going to be a free agent, and he's having a tremendous year. He never fumbles. Actually, they said he's the best back in the league as far as that. I think they said 3 fumbles at Alabama when he was in college. And he has 1 fumble. He had 2 fumbles in the NFL. He's been in the league going on just his 5th season. Going into his 5th season. And he's fumbled twice. Once he lost it, once he recovered it. So he's very dependable, and he doesn't get hurt. Even though he had a scare last weekend, so he'll be ready to go. And I think they'll deal with Myles Garrett. Usually, Big Dan Moore doesn't have a problem with Myles Garrett, but he had a problem the other day, 2 weeks ago, up in Cleveland. Myles Garrett was just pumped up and had something to prove, and then he goes out to Denver. He didn't do nothing. I ain't even hear his name called. They handled him. So I don't know. It's just something about Pittsburgh, I guess. But so the Cleveland game, and it's this Sunday. It's an early game. The Chiefs play late. So they said Pittsburgh's game is nationally televised. It'll be the main game. Tony Romo and Jim Nantz. So that tells you that's supposed to be the 2 top CBS announcers for games. So if they're doing your game, it's probably a nationally televised game. So that early game is going to be nationally televised. And I know people are going, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Man, you need to watch that. Watch that game. Pittsburgh fans, I know you will be if you can. But anybody else listening to this, you need to watch that game because the AFC North is totally different. It ain't always a win when you think it's supposed to be a win, even against teams that you know you should beat. It's just difficult in that division. We're different. That division is different. Look at me saying weird like I play, but it's different in that division. Anybody see if I'm about to get off of here, and we'll do a post-game wrap-up immediately after the game, or at least an hour or 2. I'll get some stats together. It'll be real quick. It'll be like 5 minutes, 6 minutes at the longest. Real quick wrap-up. Win or lose, I'll put it out there, post it also, and then I'll do a post-game. My setup is a lot better, so I won't have these delays. Basically, I have a post game Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning. It'll be up for the post game of the Cleveland game. Win or lose, I'll have it up, but I'll do pregame for. I'll talk a little bit about the Eagles, but I'll get more in depth with the Eagles on Friday of next week. You know, so basically, Hard Knocks. If you have not watched it, check it out. If you're an actual aficionado and a football fan, doesn't matter if you like the Ravens, the Bengals, the Cleveland Browns, or the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't care if you're a Los Angeles Chargers fan. I don't care if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. You need to check out this version of the AFC North in Hard Knocks. It's really good, man. I watched the first episode, and they did a really good job. Even though Pittsburgh doesn't like this, if you notice, they've never been on Hard Knocks. Because normally they use teams that use teams that don't win. So that's who they usually put on Hard Knocks to see how their season's going to be and what they did free agency and things like that. So teams like Baltimore and early when it first came on, Baltimore was on there. Pittsburgh's never been on there, you know. And not Cowher, but Tomlin, he doesn't really like it. They asked him at his press conference on Tuesday when that first episode was to air, would he be watching? He said, definitely not. So it tells you how he feels, whether he's telling us the truth or not. But I kind of believe him because he's just that type of guy. He don't want to see that again. You're filming him. He knows what you're saying. You know, it's all business for him. He don't want to give out too much information anyway. So that's probably irking him to just do a little bit of this anyway, because they were dead in his office early in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning while he was watching film with his offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators, stuff like that. And the film cameras are in there. HBO Hard Knock cameras are in there. So I know he's not feeling that. So, but anyway, pay attention to the game, Pittsburgh fans. I mean, I understand we don't like Cleveland, but they are playing a little better and they play different with Jameis Winston. So we got to get some pressure on him. We have to. We got to get some pressure on him. We got to make him get that ball up, and we can't let him just get reads when he feels like getting reads and just start bombing away. And we got to play well. We got to take away the run. Period. We got to get James Ford. We got to settle him down. And if Chubb's in there, we know what we have to do. We got to pay attention to the tight end. Okay, he's somebody that we need to really pay attention to, and I think it'll be a win for us. Prediction: I'm saying I think it'll be like the Cincinnati game, not as high scoring. I don't think Pittsburgh will do that, but because I think Jameis Winston is just going to try to force the issue, we're just going to have us do what we need to do because we're proven we're 10th. When's the last time Pittsburgh can say they're 10th? They have the 10th best offense in the league. No, we're third in defense and we're 10th in offense. Sounds like a pretty good team to me. So understand that. And like I said, thank you for joining me in Stiller Nation Midwest podcast. And like I told you, I gave you the schedule. I'll do this more often, and I'm still working on my studio and got a door over here. I'm putting stuff on there. I just started Terrible Time, put something else here, and I got a lot of stuff I want to do. So just for aesthetics and intro and things of that nature, but I haven't got to that part of it yet. So it's raw right now, but thank you again. Tune in and see you next time.